And this is what I wish everyone would understand. When you feel like you need a friend group, when you feel like you need a relationship, when you feel like you need a tiny nose or like something to change for your appearance, that is a void. And the thing that you think you need is never, ever going to fill the void, because the only thing that can fill the void is you sitting in that void. You sitting with the negative emotions and sitting with the version of you in the past that was told that they weren't good enough. Looks do not matter nearly as much as you think they do. This is what I wish I could tell all of the Gen Alphas, the terrifying Gen Alphas that are obsessed with skincare, all of the girls who feel so insecure and who are scrolling, comparing themselves. If you have clicked on this video because it piqued your interest, I challenge you to watch this full thing, because I have a very small following, okay? I look at my analytics sometimes, and people usually only watch about like 5 minutes of the video, and that's fine. You know, sometimes I'm rambling and I lose you, but if you clicked on this because you think that this might apply to you, I challenge you to listen to a little bit more than just a few minutes, because I genuinely think this message needs to be ingrained in your brain just like how it needs to be ingrained into mine. I can sit here right now and say like, oh, I'm so confident, like nothing matters, like I feel great about the way I look. No, there is no one person that feels that way all of the time. And I really think people compare themselves, especially women, especially young women, they compare themselves so much without realizing that that person is just another human. And if you were placed into their shoes, you wouldn't want their same problems. You wouldn't want the mental torment that they go through, because it's not meant for you. It's what you are experiencing, that is what is meant for you. In elementary school and in middle school, I used to be so made fun of for my looks. Like, people would make fun of my nose, people would make fun of my lip size. I remember once I was called Lord Farquaad because of my jawline. Can you see it? Like, but we can't pretend that these things don't stick with us. And I want to say, especially if you are someone right now that's like under the age of 18 and under, if you are watching this, you're still going to hear stuff that is going to stick with you. The negative stuff is meant to stick with us because that is how our brain is hardwired. We are meant to loop over the negative stuff because that is our trauma response trying to solve something. And especially since good looks, great looks are put on this pedestal, it is so easy. We are literally in this society set up to obsess over our looks. We are set up to look at everything bad about ourselves before we are able to look at ourselves and be like, wow, you know what? I look good today. I may not have the tiniest nose in the world. I may not have the biggest lips in the world, but like, I'm cute, you know? So this is what I'm trying to get to. You are living in a world right now where it is set up for you to obsess over the way that you look. It is more profitable. You are more profitable the less spiritually aligned that you are. The less connected you are to your higher self, this version of you, the self that understands that looks really aren't that deep, that understands that sinking time into your energy and into the things that light you up and give you joy is more important. The version of you that understands that if you were to meet a person that treats you differently based on the way you look, that's really not the kind of person for you. And the version of you that understands that that little rush of dopamine that you get from external validation really isn't tangible. The further away you get from that version of you that understands those things, the more profitable you are. Like, here's all this skincare. Here's this cosmetic procedure. Here's this style that you didn't really like before, but now we're gonna try and push down your throat because that is the only way you will be accepted. They are taking your need for validation and your need of just wanting simple love and affection, and they are trying to profit off of that. Like I said about my middle school experiences, there is stuff from there that still sticks with me. Like, I had no idea that a big nose was a problem until I went to middle school and until people told me that and conditioned that belief onto me. And the same thing probably happened with you. And we can't pretend like these things don't matter because they literally have conditioned the way that we are thinking. We were too young to be able to protect ourselves. We were too young to understand that there is a higher self that doesn't care about these kinds of things. And that's the thing, is caring about aesthetics too much is literally a never-ending battle. Like, for example, once you start to engage in a style or like start to change your style aesthetic, there's always going to be more things that you need to get. Or if, say for example, there's a bodybuilder in the gym and he or she is so obsessed with the way that they look and the way that they are trying to sculpt themselves that they will look at like the smallest little part of themselves that isn't the way that they want it to be, and they will totally obsess over it and drive themselves crazy and make them think that they are not good enough. That is you feeding the past version of yourself. That is you taking those people, whoever made fun of you or whoever pointed out that you weren't good enough, and that is feeding that version of you. Feeding that version of you that believes that and is willing to be able to give into that reality. But then you always have the option of the higher self. Okay, now let's get into the woo-woo, actionable, spiritual advice, because yes, I may be a researcher in science, but I am nothing without being spiritually connected, because I think that is one of the most important discoveries that we can ever make, is what more is there to outside and what more is there to us inside. In order to get past the obsession with looks, in order to be able to heal that side of you that always feels like you're not good enough or that there's something that you need to prove, you need to get to the root. You need to get back to that self from years ago that was told that they weren't good enough. When I tell people about this, I call it talking to yourselves, because you can connect with that higher version of you, that future version of you, in any given moment. You can get really quiet and pause and hear what it is that they're trying to tell you. But in order to heal and get as close to that future self as possible, you also need to go back. You need to be able to sit in the hurt and sit in the pain, because that is what your inner child deserves. That is what you deserve. And back then, you probably told yourself or were told by other people that you didn't deserve that. Being able to sit in a feeling of insecurity, being able to sit in a feeling of unworthiness and of not being good enough, of not being accepted, is so painful, because that is literally like the core of humanity. We are such social creatures, and we need to be accepted by a group in order to survive. Like, we are literally hardwired to have that desire. It takes someone really wanting to heal in order to sit through those dark emotions. And this is what I wish everyone would understand. When you feel like you are not good enough in something, like when you feel like you need a friend group, when you feel like you need a relationship, when you feel like you need a tiny nose or like something to change for your appearance, that is a void. Like, picture your aura, right? Picture your soul. Whatever it is that you feel like is missing and you feel like you need, it is just a void. And the thing that you think you need is never, ever going to fill the void, because the only thing that can fill the void is you sitting in that void. You sitting with the negative emotions and sitting with the version of you in the past that was told that they weren't good enough, that was told that they needed that thing outside of them in order to validate them. So, my loves, how do we sit in this void? It is done by getting into a meditative state and by starting to connect with your subconscious mind. There are tools that we can do this, right? You can just like sit, take very deep breaths and try to get into a state of meditation. There is EFT tapping, so you can tap on the points of your fingers over and over again while closing your eyes. I'm not here to explain that today. If you want to try that, Google it. Breath work as well. So laying down and taking extremely deep breaths, like sighing. And what really helps is a picture so that you can really visualize the version of you that you want to connect with. You can picture the way that their hair looks, the clothes that they're wearing, where they are exactly in time and space so that you can go back. Being more spiritually aligned, being able to go back to the past version of yourself and heal the wound that they have makes you more beautiful. It makes you prettier. It makes you more irresistible and magnetic to people because you are on a whole other vibe. You are doing something and healing yourself that 90% of people are not willing to do. You are vibrating on a whole other level. And the thing is, I'm saying this stuff like, oh, it's so attractive to people, you'll be so magnetizing, blah, blah, blah. But that's literally not the end goal. The end goal is you existing on this planet, not suffering all the time. You being able to exist on this planet without that wound in yourself, thinking that you are not good enough, thinking that you always need to prove yourself or that you always need something outside of you in order to make you feel a certain way. So if you feel like you always are not pretty enough, if you always feel insecure, if you feel like you need external validation or a relationship or whatever it is, that means that you have a void in yourself that needs to be healed. So the more spiritually aligned you get, the more aligned you become with your higher self, the more you are willing to heal and sit through those uncomfortable emotions in order to allow them to move through you instead of holding on to them, that is when you become your most beautiful. I know this because I am doing it. I have always thought that I am not beautiful enough. I have always thought that I need to prove myself in order to get people to like me. And 2 years ago is when I started fully trying to sit through those negative emotions, trying to revisit that version of me in the past that really needed someone to tell her that she was good enough and that she was okay. I'm at a point now where someone could literally come up to me on the street and be like, "You are the grossest person I've ever seen. Like, what is wrong with you?" And I would just be like, "That's weird, okay." And I truly believe everyone deserves to get to that point. And like I said at the start of this video, I still have my issues. I really still have my issues. I still am super insecure about things like that at times. But that's the thing about this process of becoming more spiritually aligned is it's never ending. It's lifelong. You will always have wounds and you will always have versions of you that need your help and that need you to revisit them and tell them that they're good enough and tell them that they are loved. If you made it to the end, that is so rare. Literally only like 20% of people get here, so props. So thank you so much. My name is Emma. I forgot to introduce myself in the beginning, but what matters here is the message, okay? My name is Emma. I'm a researcher at a college. It doesn't matter. Just what does matter is you knowing that you can heal that wound within yourself. And also knowing that anything that you think you need in order to feel good about yourself and to feel the way that you've been desiring for so long, nothing outside of you is going to give you that. It is all up to you. It is all up to you going back to your past selves and being able to say, "Hey, we got this. I got you. And you are so loved and protected and things are going to be okay." Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed. Comment down below if you liked something or if you didn't like something. And I will see you in the next video. Mwah. Bye, bye, bye.